Good morning.
A lot of minds coming in here. Right. Yeah. COVID was the least of our.
Good morning.
Morning.
Courtney, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait one more minute for everyone to get on and then we'll get started.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Grab your coffee or your tea and we'll start soon. So good morning and welcome to the Rockford Area Case Management Initiative Community of Practice. My name is Pam Clark-Reidenbach and I am the Executive Director of NICNE, the Northern Illinois Center for Nonprofit Excellence. We also have Billy Callahan with us. Wave, Billy. She is with NICNE as well, Associate Director, and is the technological genius behind our programs and services. We want to thank you for joining us and thank you for the work that you do as case managers to assist individuals and families in our community. Our Rockford Area Case Management Initiative Community of Practice was designed to provide case managers with information on services available in the community and how to access them. Today, we're focused on workforce development. But before we get started, we ask you to keep your computer on mute, post questions in the chat box, and we'll monitor the chat and share your thoughts and questions with our presenters today. We'll have an open Q&A at the end, so you'll have an opportunity to ask the question directly if you'd prefer. So today's event was coordinated by the Rockford Area Case Management Initiative Steering Committee member, Courtney Geiger from Goodwill. Thank you, Courtney, for putting together an incredibly esteemed panel for today's conversation. And I will let you take it away. Thanks, Courtney.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I am really excited about this conversation today. As you noted, Pam, we have a great panel, and we are really excited to share some of the information and services, and also how we can connect participants better to these programs, because we all know that workforce development, skill development, employment, and employment advancement is such a huge piece of the puzzle in helping individuals attain self-sufficiency. So again, really excited, and we'll get right to it because we've got so much good information to share with you. As Pam said, please put questions in the chat. We will either address them at that time or you know, jump to them at the end when we have some more time. So as Pam said, my name is Courtney Geiger. I am not the Refugee Grant Program Coordinator at Rock Valley College, but I am the Director of Mission Services at Goodwill Industries of Northern Illinois. So that is my typo, probably. I apologize. But again, really happy to be with you here today. We have a great panel. We have Nikki Fricks from Northwest Community Center, who is the Adult Services Program Director. Nikki, wave. I can't see everybody, so I'm going to assume we got a good wave from Nikki with that beautiful background. We have Paul Nolly, who is the Executive Director of Project First Rate. Chris Lewis, who is the Vice President of Workforce Development at Rock Valley College. And Jessica Story, who is the Operations Manager at the Workforce Connection. So we're going to do just a quick intro to Workforce Connection, and then we are going to turn it over to the panel to share some information. Billy, could you jump forward? Great, thank you. So just to kind of set the stage on workforce development, workforce development is really an approach to economic development that really focuses on people and developing individuals, developing their skills, and providing whatever they need for success in employment. So today we'll be talking about job training, vocational training and education, employment assistance, talent pipeline, and a whole host of other activities that feed into this approach to really develop participants who in turn then support workforces, support economic development, and create a thriving community and thriving businesses. So Billy, let's go forward one more, and just want to share, you've probably all seen this information, but this is the latest workforce unemployment and employment statistics that have just come out. And it's an interesting picture, especially because right now, workforce development and our workforce is being so affected by the pandemic. So just to give you an idea, what's been reported as our labor force in the Rockford metro service area is 162,000 approximately, almost 163 workers that make up the labor force, with over 10,000 individuals unemployed. And then you'll notice that this breaks down. We've got Boone County and Winnebago County. So for those who are in Stevenson or Ogle, I'm sorry, we don't have your information here, but it is readily available on IDES if anyone wants to look at their information. I think the important part for us to remember too is this isn't the whole picture. We know that there are more individuals unemployed. This is just what's reported as individuals who are actively looking for work as unemployed. So this is unemployment rates per the unemployment insurance program. So when we look at this number and we say 10,000 individuals unemployed, we know that that number is actually much larger. And there are people who are not actively engaging in the workforce that could be. So there's a lot of individuals in our community that we can engage in workforce programs to help them actively engage in our local workforce. So now to introduce you to the people who have the programs to actively engage these people in the workforce, and so we can connect all of our participants. So each panelist, we're going to give a few minutes to just briefly introduce themselves and their organization and talk a little bit about some of the programs or initiatives that they provide around workforce development. So Nikki, we're going to start with you.
You guys hear me?
We got you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Nicole Fricks, but as Courtney mentioned also, they call me Nikki. Some of you may know me as Nikki as well. I'm the program director for adult services at Northwest Community Center. I've been around the agency for a little bit over 10 years. I'm a native of Rockford. I really enjoy working in the social services field. Our agency has been around for over 70 years. Some of you may know that, some of you may not, but yeah, we've been around for over 70 years providing services to both the youth and also adults. And this particular program that I'm going to talk about today is called Empowering Women for Success. And this program has been around, we've had this grant for over 20 years. And the program is designed to help women 18 years and older with any barriers that would prevent them from discovering their full potential. That's it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Nikki. Can you talk a little bit about some of the services? This looks like very comprehensive.
Yes, I mean, as you can see here, from basic computer skills, goal setting, interview techniques, and job search, preparation for job searching,
Right.
cover letter and resume assistance, and also the supportive services assistance, and which is a very, very important part of the program. We provide transportation assistance to individuals who are in the program and that meet the minimum requirements to receive those supportive services. And that could be anywhere from, again, transportation assistance, maybe even help with car repairs. It just depends on, it just depends. And again, we've had this grant for over 20 years. It's a hidden gem. A lot of people don't know about it, but some do. And hopefully after this panel discussion, we'll maybe get more referrals.
That's the goal, right? Definitely. Share some of these wonderful hidden gems, and let's make them not hidden anymore.
Right.
Awesome. Well, gosh, thank you so much. We'll get into a lot more details, but we'll introduce the rest of our panel, and then we will definitely get into details with each of the programs as we go through today. Great. Thank you, Nikki. All right, and next up, I think we're going to introduce, Billy, can you go forward? I think we're going to talk to Paul. Paul, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Project First Rate?
Sure. Hey, good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name is Paul Nolly. I am the director of Project First Rate, and Project First Rate, excuse me, is a labor management association, a nonprofit organization. We're based out of Rockford, but we represent 8 counties in our region. And so I get to represent both the labor side and management and the union construction and building trades industry in our community. And what I do as part of that role, amongst other things, is promote careers in this industry, and in particular the apprenticeship programs that lead to those careers. So what I'm here to discuss today, which might be a little bit different than some of the other panelists, is talking about giving information about the apprenticeship programs, what it takes to be successful, what they, the programs look for in successful candidates, and also just to talk about the careers and kind of help inform the community about those pathways to truly livable wages in a blue collar type of industry, a type of career for many of the folks you all work with that are, looking for kind of that pathway to something that they'll be able to sustain their family on, that they can do without a college degree. That's something, an alternative to that pathway. But that's what I'm here to do. So I work with a lot of probably the organizations represented here to just inform folks, to spread the word about these programs and answer questions and make connections, et cetera. So I'm sure I'll answer a lot more, but yeah, I'm basically here to just talk about the careers in the trades, talk about apprenticeship programs, and hopefully be a kind of a conduit to a lot of that. So thanks for the invitation. Look forward to it.
Great. I think for myself and probably for many of our guests, we all hear about apprenticeships and the great opportunities in the trade, but it feels somewhat difficult to figure out how to access them and what the different opportunities are. So we're thrilled to have you here and help us understand and navigate a little bit better. Great. Now I'd like to introduce Chris Lewis from Rock Valley College. Chris, tell us a little bit about Rock Valley and some of the great workforce development programs that you have.
Yes, Rock Valley, we're very excited. Thank you so much, Courtney, for having us here. I'm the Vice President of Workforce Development. That includes our customized training, that includes programs on the non-credit side, that include truck driving, CNC, cold forming, and we have a host of other new programs that we'll talk about that we'll be adding. I also oversee continuing education, our highway career construction training program, very heavily engaged with the new ATC Center that's going out in Belvedere, as well as also we will have a new community bus, the tech bus, that falls up under my department as well. So we're very excited to talk about a lot of different things, but we're here today to talk about the Workforce Equity Initiative Grant. And that is a grant that we're very proud. We were originally awarded this grant back in 2019. We have now been re-awarded the grant. The grant was extended because of COVID. That will not end until June of 2021, excuse me. But we now were just re-awarded a second phase of that grant, which will go into October of 2021. We look forward to talking more about it. You can see on the screen the programs that are included. The original programs in the first round were truck driving, welding, CNC, and cold forming. We have now modified that. That will now include still truck driving, CNC, but we will now also include dental assisting, We have a new mobile app development program that we'll be doing, rolling that out on the bus when it comes back. And then also around April, we will be rolling out a new industrial maintenance technician certificate that we will start the first round to serve our WI students. So looking forward to talking more about that. And again, we're here trying to make sure that we can upskill our community to make sure they're ready to go to work.
This is really exciting. And the exciting news about the ATC and some of the opportunities for individuals with free tuition. Really excited to talk about that today as well. So
Right.
Lots of great opportunities. Wonderful, thank you. All right, Jessica Story with the Workforce Connection. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about the Workforce Connection?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Courtney, for the opportunity to be here today. I'm so glad that I can be able to tell everybody about the Workforce Connection. So we actually have centers in 3 different counties, so Winnebago, Boone, and Stevenson County. We have centers in Rockford, Belvedere, and Freeport, and we help individuals connect to employment, training, and education. So the different services that we help with employment are different, like helping them with resumes, helping them do a job search, actually helping them fill out job applications, things like that. We also help them take advantage of the WIOA funding for tuition assistance. So WIOA, if you're not familiar, it stands for Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and that is a grant-funded program that we can assist individuals who need to be in in-demand careers with up to $13,000 if they qualify. So what we do in our career centers is help them take advantage of that program. The different types of trainings are things like CNA, welding, CDL, just a wide variety of different training for a wide variety of interests. So we help them take advantage of that, walk them through the process, and just help support any of their needs that way throughout the time that they are with our program. For example, if they need help with transportation, childcare, things like that, we're going to assist them so that they can see that program through and be successful. We also have programs for individuals who want on-the-job training or work experience opportunities to be able to build those skills and that knowledge to be able to be successful in their career as well. So we're a direct link to partners through service integration as well. We do have a service integration specialist who works with our core partners and other community agencies like yourself to be able to refer your services to our customers to be able to take care of some basic needs for them as well. So making sure that they are successful.
Thank you. All right, well, now that we have kind of a basic introduction to the different partners and programs and opportunities, I want to ask all the panel members, tell us a little bit about who you serve. You know, who are the individuals that you're connecting with or getting into these programs, and a little bit about eligibility. You know, who are individuals that are appropriate for some of the programs and initiatives that you've talked about? And whoever wants to start can go ahead.
Well, I'll kick off.
Thanks, Chris.
With our program, of course, you have to be over 18 years or older. Our target market are African Americans. The grant, we would not have this grant if it was not for the Black Legislative Caucus of Illinois. And so we have to have a minimum participation that 60% of our participants have to be African American. However, the other 40% can be anyone, but we really want to focus on those who are coming from low income, moderate income situations. And so our goal is to make sure that we can change the paradigm of individuals who we know that are struggling in our community. And so Again, we're very excited. I know we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other support that we provide as well to make sure that the individuals can be successful. We were doing life coaching, which we still do, and we do some other employee assistance, but we're adding on some additional personnel in this second grant from lessons that we have learned, just to make sure that we can continue to make sure that our students have the support that they need to be successful.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. So with individuals, they have to be 18 years age, and 60% of students must be African American. Are there other requirements, or does it really depend on the training program in terms of education and things like that?
Well, yes. I mean, the other requirements we have, most of our programs, they have to have a high school diploma or GED.
Okay.
With the exception of truck driver training. Truck driver training, they do not have to have a high school diploma or GED, but they have to at least be able to test for the base education. We want them to TABE at least on a 10th grade level, because they still have to read manifest, and there are certain things they still have to be able to do to be effective in truck driving. But the other areas, they need to have at least a high school diploma or GED. That is the only thing that we are asking of them. Now, the other three things, we have 3 programs that are full-time. That's truck driver training, CNC, and the industrial maintenance will also be a full-time program. So they're going to go anywhere from 5 to 7 weeks, and they're going to go 40 hours a week. The dental assisting and the mobile app development, those are not be full-time programs. So someone who is possibly working and wants to sort of learn some new skills, get a new certification, would have the opportunity to be able to do that, because it will be a little bit more flexible than the other 3 offerings.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you. Jessica or Paul or Nikki, what about eligibility or appropriate candidates?
Yeah, I can go. For the Workforce Connection, for the career services, helping them with resumes or job searching or filling out applications, there's no qualifications there. We can help anybody and kind of meet them where they're at, whether they're just beginning in their career, or maybe they found themselves unemployed recently. We can help create resumes from scratch or edit resumes, however they need. As far as the eligibility for WIOA funding, they do have to be 18 years or older. They also have to be be able to work in the US. And if they're male over 18, they need to be registered with the Selective Service. We also have a youth program, and that age is 16 to 24.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so for the apprenticeship programs, just kind of going down the line of these questions. So as far as the supports or just general overview of the programs, Project First Rate doesn't directly provide services. We're really kind of just a resource and trying to, kind of as Courtney indicated, to demystify the apprenticeship program, to help folks get connected, to get the right information in the right hands, to help folks understand kind of the nature of the programs, right? For the people who are interested, you're going to be more successful if you understand how they work, what they look for, what it takes to be successful, what you're going to get yourself into, et cetera. And so that's really what I'm here for, partly, as Project First Rate. And so just a quick overview of apprenticeship programs. They're typically 3 to 5 year programs. We really consider them an alternative to a bachelor's degree or a 2 or 4 year program of some sort, or, alternative to, a Black Hawk Tech or another trade school like that. And it's a combination, typically thousands of hours of in the classroom, on the job, training and education. And you get paid while you're in there. You typically, as an apprentice, are going to get benefits as well, thinking of healthcare, pension contributions, et cetera. So really my role is to help educate folks on the true careers that exist in these trades. And it's an industry that, continues to grow, an industry that is very strong in our region. So there's a lot of potential to really truly get a middle class, a livable wage. And so I can answer more questions as we go through it. But as far as the eligibility piece, it is an 18 or older typically for each program. You do need to have a high school diploma or a high school equivalency, whether that's a GED or an alternative to that. There's typically a drug test that you need to pass, which includes cannabis. There are for some of the trades, there's going to be an aptitude test. There's going to be some general math skills that they'll want to see. Some of the trades do require like a basic algebra class on your high school or your equivalency transcript. Some things of that nature. You need to have a driver's license, you know, a couple of things like that, and those vary, you know, from program to program, and some of those kind of things. And then, you know, some of the things that aren't necessarily like the boxes you have to formally check would be some of those soft skills that the folks really look for at the program, right? You know, our industry prides itself on really being the top of its class, and as far as quality, productivity, et cetera. So, you know, things like showing up early, obviously not late and not even on time, but early, you know, in our industry is kind of showing up early is on time. Being able to, you know, do an interview and demonstrate why you're passionate or at least committed to the trade you've selected and the trade you're pursuing. Being able to, you know, work with diverse people, conflict resolution on the job sites, those kind of soft skills that aren't necessarily going to be on the application, right? And then as far as that third question, you know, what do I wish? I think it's really just setting people up for success, understanding those requirements, the things people look for, you know, asking questions beforehand so that people aren't discouraged when they get in there, because it is a competitive type of system. There's a lot of people that want to get into these programs and not as many seats, you know, to fill as applicants. So that's what part of my role is, to help answer questions, demystify, make those connections, et cetera. And I can get into that later, but that's a little bit of touching on those three items.
Well, and I think, Paul, we got a great question. Do you still publish a booklet with each local union's apprenticeship information?
Yep, we sure do. So that's been the last month or two, I've been distributing those to a ton of high schools in our area. I have a bunch at my office still. I also have a digital version of that, of, you know, what you would find in that printed publication. And then in addition, and we're not complete or ready to launch it yet, but I am working on an online, it kind of be an expanded, a more robust version of that that'll be web-based, and it'll have some videos and that kind of thing that is very much hand in hand with that guide that we publish. So I can share that information, you know, down the road in a month or two when that's ready, and then you could send that out perhaps. But yeah, we do publish that. So I have probably still a few hundred copies available. So you guys can reach out to me, any of the folks who are interested on this call, and arrange a time to grab those, et cetera.
Wonderful. And we will send out these slides, which has all of our panelists' contact information. So if that's something of interest to get some of those booklets, you'll have Paul's information so you can reach out and get some of that. Nikki, what about eligibility for your program?
The eligibility for the EWS program, you have to be a woman and at least 18 years and older, and one that's looking for assistance with finding employment or possibly going back to school, getting in some type of educational program. So that's pretty much the requirements for this program.
And one question that came through for each of the panelists, do you have an age cap? Is there a maximum age for any of your programs?
Not for EWS, no.
No, not for ours.
There is not a cap, but our ultimate goal is that we have to get the majority of everybody employed. So we don't have a cap, but we want to make sure that we also, as we're talking with someone, make sure that we know that that they are ready to go to work once they complete our programs.
Great.
Right. For our services at the Workforce Connection, there is not a cap either. However, we do have core partners that we work with seniors who want to connect to employment and work experience programs. So we often work in connection with them to be able to meet someone's needs.
Great, thank you. So we talk a lot about workforce development activities and some of the supports that are provided. So I'd like to ask the panel, you know, what additional supports outside of some of the workforce development do you provide? And also, are there supports that you don't provide that would be helpful for some of the community partners to be aware of as they think about co-enrolling individuals into your programs?
Yeah, I can just briefly talk to Project First Rate. Again, we don't really offer any direct services that would be helpful necessarily as far as a support to get into the apprenticeship programs. But what I offer and what Project First Rate as an organization offers is really that education and engagement piece. Again, to kind of help understand folks what it's going to take to be successful. We kind of consider the programs maybe a little bit further down the line, depending on where your clients are in their kind of journey, what kind of challenges they're working through, where they want to obviously end up, right? And so if it's a career, a blue collar career where they can sustain their family and get benefits and retire with dignity, we see that our programs and our careers as a very reasonable and hopefully aspirational goal to get to. And so one of the things that we do work with schools to help that education component, work with some of our partners like Rock Valley in that highway construction careers program, helping advise them, helping make connections and getting the trades involved to take tours and engage with that kind of thing of the programs. So it's more of making connections, informing the community, answering questions. I'm a resource for all of you and for the community as it relates to these careers and programs. And so that's kind of that component as kind of the support that we can offer.
Paul, something you said just struck me. Is there an opportunity for you to connect some of our agencies if they have a group of individuals that want to learn about apprenticeship or a certain trade? Would they be able to go through you to kind of get connected to, maybe take a tour or have someone speak to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and obviously with COVID, and I'm sure everyone's dealing with this, with centers being shut down and safety and all that kind of things, it makes it a little bit complicated right now. But in quote unquote normal times, yeah, absolutely. For example, we're working right now, we're just kind of starting off in the earliest stages, but with the Rockford Housing Authority and one of the programs that they do with their residents, workforce development and career development and skill development to do exactly that, to get them out to some of our apprenticeship training centers, to learn a little bit more again on what it takes to be successful and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm always open to those kind of conversations. And so absolutely.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you. Jessica, what about the workforce? What supports do you provide?
Yeah, so with supports from the Workforce Connection, once someone's in our program, we do have career planners. And I always love to talk about the career planners and the support that they provide the participants, because I think it's so neat. They are meeting with, one of the requirements is for them to meet with their career planner at least once a month. Most of the time that's two-way communication over the phone. When we were open, I believe they met with them, but they are involved in holding them accountable, making sure that they see their program through, and then taking care of any of those other life needs that pop up that are going to not help someone be successful. So for example, transportation, childcare, those types of things, they're going to help support those. We also, when someone's in a program, we provide them uniforms, tools, the things that they need for their program. So we're really seeing, making them be successful in all different ways. Also, one I wanted to talk about, I mentioned it earlier, was our service integration specialist who can help any individuals that come through our door. They don't have to be a WIOA participant necessarily. She does a assessment conversation with them on their basic needs and making sure that they have housing, food, childcare, transportation. So not only for the WIOA program, but even to just get connection to employment. We all know that we need those things in order to be successful in those areas too. So that is a support that we provide as well.
Great. Chris, could you share a little bit about some of the supports that the WEI program provides? Yes,
more than happy to. We provided in the first grant life coach that we did partnering with Goodwill. So we have life coaches that will help them along their journey to deal just with disabled life issues that will occur. We also assist with childcare and transportation. But going into the second grant, we will add also a job placement specialist, someone who will work specifically with the company and these corporations to make sure that we're identifying jobs that are available and helping to place those students who complete our programs with those jobs. In addition to that, we were doing completion stipends. Now with our full-time programs that will begin with the second grant, we're actually going to provide weekly stipends. So they will get a weekly stipend for being in the program, and the students who are in the classes that are part-time will still get a completion stipend. We also realize that we have a lot of students who have a balance that they owe Rock Valley, which has prohibited them from getting certain certificates. So we have funds now that will deal with debt forgiveness so that we can assist them with clearing out their debt with Rock Valley College. We also will provide food vouchers so that we know a lot of folks are, again, food insecure. So we're going to provide food vouchers just go around if needed. And we also will have a clothing voucher available so that when they finish our program and they need to go to interview or they need certain things like boots and other supplies, we will help them to make sure they have those things to be able to go to work.
That's great. When we talk about holistic services, talk about holistic to really make sure that someone can be successful. It's fantastic. Thank you. Nikki, tell us about some of the supports that EWS provides.
We provide supplies and clothing that relates to work and or schooling. And as I mentioned earlier, the transportation assistance for qualifying individuals, there are certain requirements in order for them to receive transportation assistance. If they have if they have a vehicle, we require them to have a driver's license. They have to provide proof of that and also proof of insurance. And then the bus passes is just, it's basic. It isn't anything required to, receive a bus pass. But then we also, refer them to other resources in the community, such as Rock Valley College if they need their GED or if they're looking for some type of certification program, or Goodwill, and also Workforce Connection. So we serve as we refer them to other agencies as well too.
That's great. Is there anything you wish that case managers knew about your program before referring individuals to your program?
Since I'm off mute, I'll go ahead and answer that.
All right.
You know what? I just wish that something that we don't offer, but if they knew exactly what it was that we offered, it would be very, very helpful, before we start receiving phone calls or before we start receiving referrals.
Right. Well, hopefully this panel will be one step in the right direction there. Great. Others on the panel, what do you wish individuals knew before they referred to you?
That our programs are not the be all and end all. They can truly be a jumpstart into someone who wants to go through our certificate of degree programs. For instance, our CNC short-term certificate program, it is approved by WIOA, which means that if a student wanted to transition into our manufacturing engineering technology program, they could possibly be able to leverage and be able to get credit for the training that they have done in the 6 weeks with us, to then move on and to get a degree with us in MET, which would further their opportunities in business and industry. The same thing with industrial maintenance. The program that we are creating, it will also be a jump start for them, for those who are interested in going and getting a mechatronics degree with us. And we're working on the same thing with a lot of our programs. So what we, for our students, we want them not to just look to come to us to get training, to get an entry-level job. We want that to be the start for them to get in the door, because many of the companies that they will work with will have tuition reimbursement available. And if they desire to come back to us and to further their education, they can get credit for the training that they have undergone. And they can also possibly get their tuition paid by the employer or through another funding source. And this could be the step for them something that's
And
Before that, we can help a variety of different of needs. So like I said earlier, with career services all the way up to the programming part of it. So no matter where someone is at, or career exploration, something like that, we can help with all of those types of needs. The other thing I want everyone to know is that we are open for service. We are not open physically, but we are open virtually. So we're happy to help with any of those things virtually right now. And we are happy to talk about WIOA and fill out applications and do testing virtually anytime. So I just want everybody to know that we are still, we had mentioned the center is shutting down. We are not shut down. We are ready to help. So that is just what I want to make sure everyone is aware of.
great, thank you. Paul, anything we should know before connecting with you, or things you wish case managers knew?
Yeah, sure. So I just was thinking of a couple things. So first being that, while I represent the trades in general, there's a lot of diversity as far as the type of work, the type of trades, that not only what type of work they think they could see themselves doing, right, for 10, 20, 30 years. Another thing is recognizing that each apprenticeship program and each trade, for one, is going to have a different process to apply for the apprenticeship programs to get into the trade. So just know that there's not kind of one size fits all. There's always going to be a different timing or schedule for when the trades have open applications, when their apprenticeship programs are running and when they're not. Some are more regional, some are local. So it's kind of you just kind of, and that's what I can help with, is kind of help navigate that as well. And so just kind of, you got to understand that there's not kind of one system that gets you into all of them. You just kind of got to be aware of what's out there and kind of be mindful. And again, just if there's a trade, if you have someone that's really interested in being a carpenter, make sure that they are as knowledgeable, they ask questions, they're keeping an eye on and when the application's open, et cetera, et cetera. And then also just the final thing is that these programs are typically, and some more than others, pretty competitive, just because once you get into this career and you're out there in the field, you're making wages for a blue collar career that are really hard to compete with. And, when you're thinking of other things in factories and manufacturing, et cetera, in the area. And so you're getting a lot of training. You're expected to be the best of the best. And it's competitive to get in there, but there's opportunities if you don't make it the first year. We always encourage people to try again, et cetera. So those are just a couple of highlights that I would encourage people to kind of consider or think about before they pursue it.
Great, thank you. And I think, Chris, if you wouldn't mind, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about the HCCTP, or the Highway, let's see if I say it right, Highway Construction Careers Training Program, which works with apprenticeships as well. I'd love to, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that.
Yes, that is a fantastic program that our instructor Dawson Ingram actually oversees. It actually is a program that gives an individual a very wide introduction to skills on the construction, and really it really begins to prepare them to go for an apprenticeship and to understand really on the labor union side how to be able to maneuver, get a foot in, and have enough array of skills that will make them marketable. We work with teaching them how to interview. They deal with everything from welding to forklift driving to an array of skills. In fact, we're even working to try to provide a scholarship moving forward for those students who have truly excelled in every class, to also allow them to get their CDL license if they choose to as well, which will give them an additional leg up as they're trying to find, again, opportunities with some of the other unions and also some of the contractors. So it is a very exciting program. They are actually compensated as well as they go through that, so that they're not here doing training. And because we know that most students have life issues that they have to pay for. So it's a program that we have been proud to have now going. I think this is our 9th year. We're looking forward to hopefully continue to have positive results. We have had to downsize, like we have all other classes, a little bit because of COVID, but it has not stopped us.
Great, thank you. I think that's, a really good segue to talking about COVID. It has affected training programs and opportunities. So I'd love to hear from the panel. Are you still offering services? What does it look like? And, is there still the opportunity for individuals to connect to these programs in spite of COVID? And what does that look like right now?
Well, since I just finished, I'll go with that one. We actually have modified a lot of our programs. Things that we have never thought about doing in a virtual environment, we've had to move to a virtual environment. For instance, CNC and co-forming. What we have done now is we've taken the first component, which we start off with those 2 classes. We actually have a job readiness component. So we do that in a synchronous learning environment now that's fully online. And then we follow behind with the NIMS, which we have, they can sit for the certificate in measured material and safety. We take the majority of that as well, and we teach it in a synchronous delivery, online delivery. And then we ask them to come in for just 2 days, and we bring them in small groups to do the hands-on component. We also are taking the lab portion and doing the majority of that also in a synchronous delivery, and we're bringing them in, staging them in small groups to actually do the hands-on component. Now on the code forming piece, we do the NIM certification, and we also do the job readiness in the same way. And then we bring them, what we have done is that we have no more than 8 students, which is what we have. So we're able to make sure that we're able to observe social distancing. We have to wear masks at all times. Our other programs that we'll be offering as far as our dental assistance program, that will not kick off until March, but that will be a small class as well. We'll make sure that when they're in the classroom, they will be more than 6 feet apart at all times. And when they have to go into the labs, it will be 1 person at a time with the instructor. Now, the program that we had to really baby the most is truck driving, because number one, it is the only program that we have that is an essential service. So through all of this, we know the demand for truck drivers was increasing. So it was an essential service. Now, the challenge that we've had is that even before this, we've always had an FTA regulation of no more than 4 students in the cab at one time with the instructor. What we did for the majority of COVID is that we only allowed 1 student at a time in the cab with the instructor. We have now increased that to 3, because we know that we can have the instructor, the student that's in the seat driving, and we could put 2 students in the back on the bench, and they can sit far enough apart that they're not sitting shoulder to shoulder. But we're still monitoring that. It has impacted our ability to offer, 3 classes at the same time. But we're still moving. We have our cleaning protocol that goes on with these programs, that we're coming in and we're sanitizing, several times a week. And then we make sure that we also have a cleaning protocol with the equipment that is done after everyone uses it. We're taking temperatures, and we're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure we're keeping both not only our students safe, but also our faculty and staff safe as well.
Great.
Yeah, as far as COVID-related, challenges and changes, in addition to the obvious and some of the things that Chris said, like having masks and kind of reconfiguring classrooms and all those kind of things, it has certainly impacted some of the training or the apprenticeship programs. For example, the operating engineers had to basically delay the apprenticeship program. So they're starting with, you know, the first year rather than having another wave come in this year, and some of those challenges. And it really just depends on the trade. For example, the iron workers had just opened applications and we're accepting applicants, whereas, you know, in addition to the example I just listed, some others have had to, you know, put it on hold or use some online coursework and that kind of thing. So it just varies based on the trade, on the training center, what their capacity is and that kind of thing. So many of them are still working as kind of planned with some changes, and some are having, you know, delays or having to hold off on a new wave of apprentices, et cetera.
Great. Nikki, how has it affected your program, and are you still operating?
We are still operating. Currently, we're working remotely. We're not seeing individuals in person due to COVID, but we are still holding case managing them via phone. And if we need to meet with them in person for supportive services, we are following the COVID guidelines.
Great. Jessica, you spoke a bit, but you know, you said you're virtual.
Yes, we are helping. We're utilizing Zoom quite a bit, able to do most everything virtually. For the WIOA program, we do require the basic tests to be taken. And so one of our new initiatives that we've done recently is be able to have those tests done remotely. So if someone can't do them remotely, we are offering them in person as well, though, if they don't have a computer or something like that. And when we do offer in person, you know, we're making sure to go follow all of the guidelines as far as having masks on, making sure the person is 6 feet away, very limited at a time, things like that. But yes, most of the things we can do virtually.
Right. We got a question that I think is a great question. How do any of you work with individuals that might have justice involvement or criminal backgrounds in the past? You know, are there opportunities for individuals who have justice involvement to engage in your programs?
Yeah, I was reading that as well, Courtney. While we are not an ex-offender program, the reality is a lot of individuals that we serve happen to be ex-offenders. That's just reality. So while we do not necessarily focus on that, what we ask, because you know we've had a great success rate of someone who is people who are ex-offenders who have come through our programs and have done very well. You know, the employers, particularly in CNC, truck driving, coal forming, you know, if someone is really ready to go to work and they're willing to be to work on time, come to work every day, they are really overlooking it. Well, what we say is we just try to make sure that no one has an infraction that is very recent. That is usually more of a red flag, and that it, you know. But if it's something that has occurred a couple years ago, you know, we have been able to have a true success with getting in place. Our biggest challenge, and one of the things we would like to ask, is that when you're really sending folks to us, just make sure that they really want to go to work. Our biggest challenge is that as long as we are providing the life coach services and sort of really babying our students, they can get up, they can come. But one of the challenges and some of the disappointment that we have is that once we get them employed, then no one is really calling them, making sure they come every day. Then they stop going to work and then they get terminated. So, you know, we just want to make sure that we continue to stress on our end and on your end the importance of maintaining those good life skills of being to work on time and going to work every day, because the employers are simply not going to retain them if they don't.
Great. Nikki or Jessica, do you have opportunities for individuals that might have past justice involvement?
Well, what we do is refer to individuals to, I I can't even think of the name of the, oh God, it's at the tip of my tongue. They offer the services that they assist individuals with backgrounds. Prairie State Legal Services. We refer individuals to Prairie State Legal Services, or possibly work with them one-on-one to try to see the nature of, what's on their background, and try to, work with them one-on-one.
Great, thank you.
The Workforce Connection does assist individuals that have barriers, and I think that's one of the main focuses of WIOA funding is that we are providing opportunities to everyone, and so yes, definitely we can help people with barriers.
Great. And then I wanted to touch on how individuals or case managers best refer to your programs. And Billy, we do have a slide that has some referral information. Great. And we'll send this out to everyone so that you have, these live links. But could each of you just kind of talk about that referral process and what that looks like for you?
I'll go. A case manager can call our agency and speak to the case manager and inform them of the individual that they're getting ready to refer over. I always find that usually works best when an individual has someone calling over and kind of advocating for them. Yeah, they usually work best, or they can just have the customer call our agency themselves.
Great. Okay. Paul, what about for Project First Rate? Is it best, if case managers want to talk with you about apprenticeships opportunities, is it best for them to call you or the individual? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a case-by-case basis. So as far as actually, if someone's ready, and they're feeling strong and they want to go for an apprenticeship program, candidly, the best way for them to do that is going to be contacting that training center, that trade union directly. They're going to have, all the application information. They're going to have the dates, et cetera. I can be the resource, and I monitor all of that, of course. But, again, going back to the thing of knowing what trade you want to go into, being able to articulate why you're committed to it, why all of that. So kind of prior to that, you would want that person to have understood and be committed and know what they're getting into and all that kind of information. And so that would lead you to, being in contact with the training center, the union hall, et cetera. So I can kind of be a resource. I can help steer or guide people or navigate it. But as far as direct referrals and direct, entry into those programs, you're going to want to go directly to the union just to get, cut through some of the kind of secondhand type of thing. Again, if it's questions, if it's general information, if it's guidance, et cetera, that's what Project First Rate we can play that role. But yeah, as far as actually, if someone is ready at that point where they feel strongly that they're prepared for an apprenticeship program and they're itching to get in, you're going to want to go directly to whichever training center that may be relevant to. And again, those guides can be useful for that, providing phone number, addresses, et cetera. And we can also be, kind of informally reach out to Project First Rate myself, and we can help with that as well.
Great, thank you. Chris, can you talk a little bit about how to best connect to WEI?
Yes, I am. Two ways. First, there's the name that's on Tiana McCall is our Vice President of Community Outreach, but she's also our coordinator for the WEI grant. You can contact Mrs. McCall at the number that's listed, or you can go to the link that is also listed, which will take you to our website where they can also do an online application. They can do an application at that point in time. But if you want to call Ms. McCall, feel free as an organization, because what we're going to do, we're going to take this information and then we're going to actually contact the student, because we're going to qualify that student. We want to interview them, and we want to hear their story. And we want to make sure that we hear that they really want to be in the program, that they understand the expectations that will be placed upon them for this program. And then they will go through an extensive interview before decisions made. You know, right now, what we're looking at, if they are accepted into this program, that is roughly a little over a $10,000 investment that we're making into each individual. So, you know, we look at this as a full scholarship. This is no different than a scholarship application that they're going to go through if they were going to any other institution. And so we're going to interview them, and we want to make sure that they fully understand and that we're comfortable that if they get into these programs that they're going to be able to complete and that they're ready to go to work.
Great. Thank you. Jessica, best way to connect to the workforce?
Yep, best way to connect to the workforce is, like I said earlier, we do have 3 different centers. The phone number on the screen is the one to our Winnebago County Rockford Center, but we do have the one in Freeport and Belvedere as well. So the first point of contact for you when you call the Workforce Connection is going to be our career navigators. Our career navigators are kind of the connection piece to anybody who's needing our services to either help them directly or connect them with the other areas in the Workforce Connection, depending on what they need. We also have a lot of information there on our website as well. Anybody's welcome to call me directly, and if they just have a general question, that email address, the info@theworkforceconnection.org, we'll be able to answer any of those general questions as well.
Great. We've got a couple more questions on the chat. It says, Jessica, are you going to be hiring? Are you seeing a lot of companies hiring since the need is so great?
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of agencies hiring, companies hiring. We are doing a number of different virtual job fairs with local companies. I'm getting information for their open positions. We have a weekly job listing that we provide as well. So people are, companies are still hiring. During the pandemic, there is a great need out there. So yes, we are seeing a lot of companies hiring at this time.
Okay, great. Another question that came through for all of the panelists, does anyone work with connecting volunteers with opportunities?
Courtney, I can take that one. With the Workforce Connection, we do see a lot working with our core partners. They are needing volunteers at times. And so as we have individuals that need work experience or on-the-job training, or they're trying to build their skills and their knowledge to be able to put that on their resume or just use that going forward in their career, we can help connect individuals who are wanting to volunteer and give back to our core partners that are needing the volunteer opportunity, or that are needing volunteers.
Any of our other panelists, do you have opportunities for volunteers?
We don't really have any opportunities as far as, outside folks. We do have projects that our trades get involved with, and our contractors as well all the time. But I mean, I would encourage folks who are interested in this type of career to volunteer with things like Habitat for Humanity, right? If there's particular things where they want to get into this industry and they want to have some opportunities to learn and volunteer and serve that way, that would probably be the best outlet for that. I would encourage that.
Great.
And I echo the same thing that Paul said. Of course, we still have to, deal with our guidelines as an institution. And so when we deal with FERPA and everything else that we deal with, it makes it very difficult for us to deal with a volunteer with our student program that we're talking about right now. But we do encourage you to work with our partners in any way that you possibly can. Because again, we know that we need all the help that we can get.
Great. All right. Another question came in. Do any of the panelists have bilingual services for Spanish and Arabic speaking participants?
I can take that one, Courtney. For the Workforce Connection, we do have a language program for a lot of different languages, so that we're able to serve, no matter what language you serve, we have a translation program that we can utilize.
Well, of course, at Rock Valley College, we have English as a second language program that we do have available, as well as our, again, we have our refugee services program. So we do have programs that are available that will help to make sure that we can support individuals who come from a different, again, language. And, you know, however, the grant programs that we have, they are being taught in English. So if someone were to participate in that, they would have to be proficient in understanding the English curriculum that is being, again, being delivered.
Yeah, and as far as the apprenticeship programs go, almost all of them, and I think there's a few exceptions to this, do require that you be able to use the English language. The materials you'll be using, you know, in the classroom and on the job site are going to all typically be in English, again, with a couple exceptions. You know, I would say that, you know, having a Spanish language skill is important on the job site in many cases, and, you know, looking at positions of foremen and that kind of thing, you know, they sometimes look at almost all of the apprenticeship programs. They do have an expectation of having a mastery or at least a basic level of English language.
Okay, great.
At Northwest Community Center, we do have one of the staff members who speaks Spanish. As far as the other languages, we don't have anyone on staff that can speak those languages, but we can call the translation line if we need to. And then we'll also, you know, refer those individuals to programs such as Rock Valley College, or maybe the Workforce Connection to get enrolled in maybe the ESL services.
Okay, great, thank you. And we've got some really good questions coming in, so please feel free, type your questions in, and we'll try and get to as many as we can today. Another question came in. Do any of the panelists have limits on the number of people or capacity issues with individuals that you can serve in these different programs? I know, Paul, you spoke a little bit about, you know, the apprenticeships only serve so many, and I would imagine most of the programs have some sort of caps. Chris, do you want to?
We do. We have the total number of individuals for the second grant is 109 students, and that's spread across the 5 programs. I think 25 we have for truck driving, 20 for industrial maintenance, 20 for CNC, I think 24 mobile app development, and then and like we had 150 for the first grant. We still have 12 seats available for cold foreman at this time, 7 seats available for CNC, and 8 seats available for truck driving, that we're looking to wrap up the majority of that in our January 19th class that will kick off. Because what we want to do is make sure that we complete the first grant with the January 19th class, so that with all students moving after that, particularly since the second round of funds will provide weekly stipends. We don't want to have students who are getting weekly stipends and those who are getting completion stipends in the same class. So we're trying to get all of that wrapped up in the January 19th class. So after that, everything will be basically funding from the second grant.
Great. So you said you have a class starting January 19th. So I would imagine people need to start applying and getting their information in now, right?
Yes, interviews are already going. And matter of fact, since, and I know Courtney is going to ask the question about the other opportunity that is being publicized with the 300 tuition for 300 students for the new HCC Center. Our interest in our program has definitely peaked. We're now getting 25 to 40 people every morning I walk in I have emails from that have been applying. And what is interesting as well, we need really a lot of help in recruiting, again, our African-American students. It is interesting, since we have added dental assisting and industrial management, mobile app development. I know Courtney can attest. I don't know if we ever really saw an interest from our Asian community. However, with the inclusion of those 3 programs, I would say a third of our interest is coming from our Asian community now. So, you know, which is good. We just never had the interest in the first grant that has really peaked. So, but yeah, we do have seat limitations, and this January 19th class, that's coming up for cold forming, CNC, and truck driving. If you have someone that's interested, you need to get them on that now, because we're in the process of trying to get that wrapped up soon, like in the next couple of days soon.
Yeah, great. How about other programs? Do you have capacity limits and timeframes for case managers to really be aware of?
At Northwest Community Center, we do have a certain amount that we target to reach, but I have yet, in all the years that I've been there, that we've ran out of funds. So you guys just refer individuals. Please refer them. So.
Great.
My answer would be very similar to Nikki's. We have funding as well, and the funding is still there, and it's always going to be there. So we would just encourage individuals to refer to us as needed. We really don't have a capacity problem right now at all, and we're able to serve whoever comes through our doors pretty efficiently. So
great. And Paul, you spoke earlier a little bit about time frames and things for their apprenticeship, and that they're very competitive. Would the best thing really be to look at that booklet, or what would you suggest for people to really know about those time frames?
Yeah, so I mean, and I think that's one thing, you're touching on something that's challenging for folks trying to navigate this kind of world of the trade apprenticeships, is that they're all on different schedules. Some of them are truly just based on basically the work that's out there in the community. So obviously, we want more work. It's going to lead to more jobs, more apprentices, et cetera. Some of them do it on kind of an annual basis, and they know and they've got it kind of planned out, and they do it. So that's one thing that's challenging, even for myself, to kind of keep a track of that. And so obviously, for someone who's not ingrained in this world, it's even more challenging to pay attention and know when things are. So again, that's what I really like to highlight about that. Finding your trade, finding what it is that you want to do in this industry. And then that way you can kind of, even if it's maybe 2 or 3 of the trades that you could see yourself in, or someone, the customer or client you're working with could see themselves really, succeeding in and going into. And that way you can kind of pay attention to the application dates on that, pay attention to when they're opening, make those phone calls, start engaging with the apprenticeship coordinator, the training facilitator, et cetera, because it is really just all different based on the trade. So, as far as time limits, yeah, there's typically going to be a window where the application's open, and then, an end to that window, and they close and they do the interviews. Some of the trades, I will say, to just throw it out there, accept applications on an ongoing basis. So, there are some that you can just, put your application in, and when they need folks, they'll call you, that kind of thing. So that is one thing I think, just candidly, that's somewhat challenging, is just that they're all different. They have different timelines, different length of windows when those applications are going to be open, et cetera. So it's really just a matter of looking out there, determining what trade or what trades you could see yourself in, or your clients could see themselves in, and then making sure they're kind of keeping their finger on the pulse of that program, if that makes sense.
No, that's great. Something I've found, I've started following most of the trade unions on Facebook, and I've noticed that they post a lot of the application information on Facebook. So I guess I would ask all of our panelists, is your information readily available on social media platforms? And would you suggest that case managers follow any certain social media pages of your organization to stay up to date with some things?
Courtney, I'll take that one. Yes, I would encourage all of the case managers to get connected with us on Facebook. We have a number of different things going on Facebook. We're doing, like I said, the job fairs. We're connecting with community partners that are going to be valuable to you to learn what they do, what they provide as you're working with your clients. We also have our application information on our Facebook, so you can, refer that information right to the people that you're working with to fill out those applications. And we're always doing workshops and things like that on there as well.
Great, thank you. Other panelists, would you suggest following your social media pages for updated information on programs?
We actually have a social media page for the college. It includes some of the stuff, but I have to admit, we need to do a better job in making sure that we're keeping more current, and we will be working on that. So if you follow the college, you will see some of the things, and we'll be working to make sure that it is a lot more user-friendly and on time for you as we move forward.
Great.
Yeah, and Courtney, kind of going to what you're saying, I as far as the Project First Rate Facebook page, I try to do my best to share all the information related to those open applications and what's going on at each of the locals. Some of them, have very active Facebook, some not so much. So I that's part of my role is keeping track of that. So I typically at least, have that information, even if I'm not posting on Facebook. But yeah, anyone who's interested, plumbers and pipe fitters, the iron workers, the sheet metal workers, those are just a few examples of folk or of the locals that really have pretty active Facebook pages. So you can follow that. Again, that I wish I had it ready. It's not ready now, but this online resource we're working on will have, we'll be embedding some of those social media pages into the different trade information and provide information about the apprenticeship openings and that kind of thing. But yeah, I would encourage anyone just to peruse the locals, look at, the resources we have on our website and kind of, search from there. And I try to share as much relevant, pertinent information as it relates to those programs as I can on our own Facebook page.
Great. Great.
Northwest Community Center's Facebook page is mainly geared towards our youth programs currently.
Okay.
We probably could do a better job with, promoting our adult services programs. So we'll work on that also.
Well, I think this is a call to action for everyone on the call. Go in and like all these pages, and we'll increase the usership of all of them. So another question came in on the chat. Are there time limits in any of the programs by which participants need to meet to be successful? It sounds like there's a wide variety in some of the programs, kind of based on what you're doing. Would you agree with that or have any thoughts on that?
Well, I would agree. Again, our programs vary. Our shortest time frame is on truck driving, and it's 5 weeks. And then our CNC and our cold forming program, that's 7 weeks. Our industrial maintenance program, once it's up and running, will be a 6-week program. And then the mobile app development, it is going to follow the academic calendar. We are trying to get a class going for that. That class is going to have to be able to go February the 22nd. We're trying to get the bus back here, get things going, because again, we want to be able to take that class in the community and be able to do that class somewhere more centrally located than Rock Valley College. But because that is a credit-bearing class, we have to get it started so that we can get it completed by May the 16th, which is the day that grades are due again for the spring semester. And then we'll start off again with a class in July, because we need to get that class wrapped up before the grant is over, which our target date is October the 10th. So those two, for mobile app development, it will definitely have a restraint. That class will meet on Saturdays for 6 hours on the bus. And then what we will do is issue a Mac computer for those that don't have it. We will loan them one so they could do some work at home during the week as they prepare for their class on Saturday. And then lastly, our dental assisting program is it will be a 9-week program. And we're looking, and I think the next class starts around March 1st, March 2nd. But that will be a 9-week class on the dental assisting program.
And Chris, I have to say, you've piqued all of our curiosity, I think, in the tech bus. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that is something that we've been working on. We were able to get a bus donated from Rockford Mass Transit District. I just left from going up to the vendor and seeing it last Friday. We have taken that bus. It has been it's being customized for us. It will have 7 workstations inside that will be outfitted with, again, Mac computers. We will have a big screen TV in the back, another in the front, printers. But it will be a bus that we will use to do our mobile app development class. We will also be able to go in the community to do FAFSA registration, student recruiting, and just basic marketing. And so we're going to wrap it with, and of course, we're going to be able to put our tremendous amount, large number of vendors and suppliers that helped us to make this a reality. And so again, it allows us now to, matter of fact, I just had to buy a generator, a diesel generator that we're ordering, the board approved last night, that we'll place on that bus. We can take it anywhere. We're going to make sure that it has Wi-Fi connection, but it is basically a classroom on wheels that we are trying to make sure that it is equipped, that it can go anywhere, and we can remove any barrier that someone may have from not being able to get here or not having technology. They will be able to do and take classes and register and have access to this college on that bus.
Wow, that is really exciting. I can't wait to see that in action. So great, thank you for sharing. Let's see, one question came in, Jessica. I want to know, are you going to be hiring at the unemployment office for more staff to help with the rising number of people needing services?
Yes, I saw that come through, and I don't think I quite answered your question earlier, so thank you very much for clarifying. So we are, I don't know that we're hiring at this point. The unemployment office is actually a different entity than the services that we provide. So there is a number of rising unemployment, people that are on unemployment, and we're still serving them through the workforce connection services. And we are seeing some increase, but we're still able to, keep up with our demand as far as the workforce connection services. So I don't see any huge increases in our staff because of that. I'm glad that you asked about unemployment office, because we do get a lot of customers that call in thinking that we are the unemployment office or the unemployment agency, IDES, and we are not. However, we can help someone certify for unemployment, answer general questions, but we can't really go into assisting them because we are just not IDES. So thank you for your question. I hope that helps.
Great, thank you. So we're nearing the end here. So want to throw it out there. If there are any other questions, please put them on the chat. Or if any of our panelists want to share any other information with everyone in attendance today. All right. We'll give you one last minute to throw those questions in, and we may be able to get you out of here a few minutes early. Billy, were you going to close up and talk a little bit about future Rockford Area Case Management?
I will. I'll share some information about that. So it looks like we don't have any other questions, and we can move into our closing portion of the event this morning. I will introduce myself. I'm Billy Callahan. I work with Pam Clark-Reidenbach at NICNE and the Associate Director. Nikki, we do have one more question here. Do you have flyers for your program available?
We are currently in the process of getting those flyers updated. If someone would like to receive any of the flyers, please just send an email to the case manager of the program and we'll get them.
Thank you. So I will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation along with contact information out to everyone that's here and anyone that registered that couldn't come. I'll also share the recording. So if you have coworkers that wanted to get this information, they can also watch the recording when you share.
Billy, I'm sorry, can I just really quick, I want to thank our panelists for the time they spent with us this morning and the information they shared, but also, for the time they spent prepping for this and getting ready. So just a huge thank you to each of you for taking the time to share this information, as well as the work you do every day. We really, really appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there. I just wanted to thank you as well for your time. And thank you so much, Courtney, for, no, thank you for moderating and for leading this panel discussion. This was a wonderful resource.
My pleasure.
I will share a program evaluation link with you in the chat as we close, and I'll also share some information about additional trainings that we have for the Case Management Initiative and some other things that we have coming up in the community for our events. So we encourage and welcome topic suggestions. We have these events quarterly, so if you have topics that you'd like to learn more about, we will meet again in March, June, September and December of next year. So please share those in the chat or share those in your feedback with the evaluation for the program. We also offer a twice annual case manager training through the Rockford Area Case Management Initiative. And Courtney and I and Pam are all instructors for that program, so you may have seen us there. We offer those trainings online right now due to COVID. We usually offer them in person. We might be able to offer the fall session in person next year. We'll have to wait and see how that goes, but spring will likely be online. If you want an individualized training at your organization, and maybe you missed the annual training or you have a large group that you would like to attend, you can have us come out and do the training for you at your work site, or we've had organizations partner together and do 2, 3, or 4 organizations who partner and do trainings as well. So on the screen are some topics that we do training about, as well as the core case management values and skills. First, again, we want to say thank you. Other things I do want to share, I have 2 other event information pieces to share with you today. There is a Healing Illinois grant that had given $4.5 million across the state of Illinois to 179 organizations to fund community-based activities to advance racial healing. So in partnership with the United Way of Northwestern Illinois, and Pam, please feel free to chime in here if there's anything that I missed or you want to add on. In partnership with them, we will be offering 4 training sessions early in the spring next year. Will begin for any nonprofit board member, staff, or volunteer, and we're going to offer trainings also to be able to facilitate racial healing, or you might hear peace circles as a name, or courageous conversations. We're going to hold a facilitator training for that. So those are grant covered. They're entirely free. Anybody that works for your organization, volunteers, or is on your board can attend, and we will share more information out about that in the coming weeks. So please watch for that. Trainings that will be held will cover topics to address systemic racism, bias, justice, equity, and healing, and again, are going to be held across the spring. And the last thing I want to share before we depart this morning, we have our certificate in nonprofit management program starting in the spring as well. So please watch for information about that. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Information for our case managers, and you are always welcome to join.